So periodic functions will work whenever you pass all arguments loosely. But if you are trying to pass like a key equal to value, in that way it will not accept. What it is saying? This function got an unexpected keyword args. So till now you have args, right? You use the same variable I told. In this particular case, I use the same exact variable called as args, but still I cannot pass. In those cases, there is one more thing called as variable keyword arguments. Variable keyword arguments. So how it can be helpful, let's see. So variable keyword arguments means so when your definition, so we need to pass another variable, say like same like this one. So I will define like, define my func of star args. So to make it a difference, the most commonly we call it as kw args. If I pass, so it will take it. So for you to understand, like, print of say kw args, and also like type, right? Type of kw args and kw args. If I have a definition, say like my func, I don't pass any values. Say my func of name is equal to say my func of, so name is equal to say Muday itself, and age is equal to some 55. And so this time I take the same function and I repeat one of them. Say again name is equal to Gudo. You see what will happen when you what is happening? You repeated a keyword, so it will throw an error, right? So fine, if you repeated one of the keywords, it will throw an error that like I cannot take it. That is one example. But if you pass like no arguments also, it will work. One argument also it will work. Two arguments also it is working. But did you see in all these cases it is treating like a dictionary? So that is the difference between args and keyword args. Hope it's clear. Now for you to better understand, I will take this time all of them together in one shot. So there are two ways of defining variable arguments. So one is the variable arguments and variable keyword arguments. So the most common notation is star args and stars are kw args, but you can give any name. Say like star given I told, stars are feed in I told, like two different names I give. Every time I'm printing the type of them and also the values. Okay. If this is the case, I'm defining something and I'm making a function calls. And similarly, I'm making a function call separately. Say in the very first time, for the same function, I pass like 0 arguments. When I pass 0 arguments, what will happen? So first one, given is a tuple, feed in is a dictionary. As you didn't pass anything, both has no values. In the same fashion, if I do something like this, so hello of Santosh, name is equal to Santosh. When I just passed a loose argument, so the loose argument was taken as a tuple, right? So single value tuple means a comma at the end. Did you see? And dictionary didn't get anything. So observe one value at a time. I can say, yeah, you can observe. In this case, see, observe. When you pass name is equal to Santosh, you didn't get anything for given. You get only for the feeding. Similarly, if I pass two arguments, if I just pass loose arguments, all will go to the given because variable arguments. If I pass the same two arguments, but like this keyword way, then it will go to the feeding. And if I give like a combination of all of them together, say like this, I have loose arguments also I have, means positional kind of thing, and also key equal to value, like that also I give. In this case, did you observe? What are the values you gave loosely? They have gone to the given, which is a star args. And what are the values you gave like a key equal to value? That has gone to the keyword arguments, which is a dictionary. Is it clear, everyone? So now you understood there are different ways of passing values to functions. So be it directly or means like positions or keywords, one argument like default arguments you saw, and also variable arguments means any number of arguments also you can pass. Now they thought like there should be a limit to this. We should not give too much flexibility to the user. So whenever we want something to happen, it should happen, but there should be a say. Means sometimes you want only keywords or only positional arguments. So to limit that kind of way, they came up with something, one kind of notation. So for this is more important. So if from Python 3.9 onwards, so more things were added. So if you define, this is something like very interesting. Uh, second. Yeah, see here. If you define a function, typical function like this, there are like two positions, position 1 and position 2, which were like position only, which are mandatory. After that, you give a slash, and after that, you have some arguments and star and some arguments. So there are two new notations which were came. Earlier, there used to be only star, and Python 3.9 onwards, they introduced this slash also. What is that it is saying? In one shot, I can help you understand. Say I define some function. I define some function. Now I need to pass arguments to it. So how do you pass arguments to it? Either you can pass all the values directly or all the values by positions, right? So if you define some function, I can do like this either way. So there are four variables. I can pass three of them, and fourth one will be default, and four also I can pass. Or in the fourth cases also you can pass. But if you want some definition, something like this, see here, the same function, if I define like this, means first three arguments directly, and then a slash, then d equal to 10. Means the fourth value, which is a d, and after that, it's up to us. Either you pass like the fourth value directly, or if you don't pass also, it will work. You see, in the first case, you didn't pass the fourth value. So obviously, so d is equal to 10. And in this case, you passed d equal to 89. So that's what you give. In the third case, you explicitly passed like, so d equal to 89. By position you give. So by keyword you give, right? Keyword you give. All these things it works. But why this slash is there? Are you passing anything extra? No. So slash is not an argument. It will define how the values before it should be. Means, the last one you have passed in two ways. So either directly or indirectly you passed. In both the ways it worked, right? For the last one. So last one you did like this, it worked. But if let's say for the earlier ones, say this one, the third one, I'm passing like a c is equal to something. The third value is c, right? I'm passing like c. So if you see here, c is equal to, did you notice? Yeah. So did you see what happened? Yeah. Now you see what observe. So any argument before that slash should be only with position and not in any other way. That is what you are saying here. So let me give one more example for you to understand. Say if I have my function, and if I say like, a slash, then b. So if I say like, so whatever you have printed, so just I want to take like, so a comma b, whatever you has given. So till now, like if I pass two arguments, it will work, right? And like you can pass like two arguments, but the second one you can pass b is equal to 2, like that also you can do. But you cannot do like my function of, so a is equal to 1. So because like, so the a, so you have defined as like this, means position only arguments before slash. So before slash, all args are position only. If I execute right now, did you notice for the first two things it will work, but for the last thing it will throw in error. So that is what I am defining here. Any slash is there means before that all should be position only, and if there is a star after that everything should be keyword only. In middle it can go either way. So this is what the thing you need to remember a lot. This is most powerful. So if let's say one more example I give. So this time say I'm doing a power operation. You see, I told like x and y, and after that slash, means first two values should be directly only. So the last value it's up to us. Now let me go for keyword only arguments. So sometimes like when you go with a server or credentials or something, we should be very careful, right? The username password which we are giving. So that's the reason. Say like I have one example where I am passing the values like this. Say example like this. See here, I have a server, and after that I have a star, and after you have username password. Means server name you can pass directly or indirectly, but username password should be like this only. So if I execute like this, it will work. You know, and one more thing, not only this, if you pass even the server name also like a keyword, that also it will work, right? If I do like this also, it's gonna work. So in both the cases. But if you pass like the first value, these two values directly, means say like without the this one, let's say all I am doing directly, just passing like by values. So it will not work. It will throw an error. So server name takes one positional argument, but I got three positional argument, it's saying. Means though you are giving three arguments as needed, you need to abide these rules. So generally, so we should be careful about these kind of logics. Or like one more example for you to understand. So the more the examples, the more you can remember, right? If I say in this case, so before star means it can be up to us. So block means which should be like true or false only. Means of course boolean means the same thing, right? But it should be like a keyword value like that only. You cannot pass any other values. Now in one shot, for you to understand what are you have learned till now, in one consolidation is that if you have a function with both of them, so a star is also there, so asterisk is also there. Means first two arguments should be positional only. So next two arguments, it's up to us, either way you can go. And the last two should be keyword values only. So this is how we can work. This is all about them. And lastly, so we can work on the global and local scopes. So with that, we can wind up. What do you mean by scope and local and global scope and how they work? See, generally in any language when you're working, there are two types of things that you will be having a discussion with. Call by value and call by reference. Hope you remember. There are two things called as call by value and call by reference. Some languages support only call by value. Some languages support only call by reference. But Python supports both call by value and call by reference. How it does, that I will tell you. So, and one more point you need to remember is about the objects, mutability and immutability objects. Hope you remember. I told mutable objects means what? Any object that support changes on themselves. Till now, whatever you have seen, list, set, dictionary, and byte array string, these are mutable objects. Whereas immutables means int, float, none, all built-ins, and tuple, frozen set, all are immutables, right? So one thing before concluding, I will tell that Python supports both call by value and call by reference. But the difference is simple. In Python, mutable objects by default are call by values references. Immutable objects by default they were call by values. And of course, we can do both of them to both of them. For you to understand what is this and how it works, I will tell you something very interesting. So let me take a very small function and let me do some operation. Let me do a function and do some operations. I am defining a function called as pi. So like a case one, I am defining a function. First, I am defining a function outside. You see now, I am defining a function outside called as pi equal to 3.14. And within the function, I am calling. So if I don't define this one, say I'm not defining it, then if I am making a function call, it will throw an error because it don't know what is this value called as pi. If I execute, it will throw an error. Now, if I define it outside, observe very carefully. I'm not passing as an argument. I'm not passing as an argument anywhere. But still, in Python it works. Why it will work? Let me tell you. With two built-in functions called as global and local. This is what about local and global scopes. If I say like global, this is very interesting. If I say global, till now we are working on a big program, right? Whatever is in this context, everything, globals, you will get the entire thing. See, everything you got. And if you say like locals, of course, you get the same thing for locals also. Instead of checking again the entire things, I will tell like, so both are equal. Did you see it is true? But globals and locals were not, to be frank, equal. Why it is not equal? Let me show you. So I showed you a lot of things in the thing. Again, I'm taking a definition. Within that, I'm asking, hey, is locals and globals equal? And here I'm saying an assert that globals is not equal to locals. See, outside the function, both are equal. See here, assert globals equal to local. So this is like outside function, right? Outside function. And this is inside function. Inside function. So let me see what is the locals also here. Let me print locals. Now in this case, if you print, did you see that locals were nothing? It has nothing, right? So, okay, at this moment you didn't get anything. It's okay. We can see what we got. Oh, ELF, it is doing something. Okay, you got nothing. Locals means. But you understood here that in this case, there are two functions called as locals and globals. Globals means what are at the script level or the total level that you are saying. Locals is something very interesting. So outside the functions, if you ask, locals is same like globals, but inside the functions, locals and globals are different. The globals are same every time. Now, why I'm telling this concept for you is that though you didn't pass any argument, though you didn't make any argument in the call, but still you are able to access the global value because the global scope we can access directly in Python. This is something very, very interesting and different in Python, which you don't find in other languages. Maximum, in my experience, I didn't find at least. So similarly, if I go for one more thing called as, one more use case. This time, I don't define globally. So I'm just, as I defined earlier in the top, the same immutable object I am taking in this case also. And without passing here, I'm just printing it. And within that, I am updating it. And I'm also want to print so what are the locals are there? I just want to print them. So this is my agenda to print that locals. Okay. And now I'm making a function call. So same like above, I'm making a function call. you see now what happened? Unbound error. This is the most awesome error. So which we will find in the starting means whenever you want to just use the variable, it will not create a local reference. So as you are trying to use and also update, right? You want to also update. So when you want to update, you cannot use a local value, global value. We should have a local value. Means global values, if you want to just use, you can use. But if you want to update, it will try to create a local reference. But like as it is not there, so it is not, it can't like update, right? So this is what you need to understand. So this is where you need to understand how things works. Now in this case, if you want, so means what is the conclusion we understood? Global variables, if you just want to use, you can use. But if you want to modify them within the function, you cannot use them. We need to pass as an argument. That is the reason of that unbound error. Now in the case 3, I'm just see here, I'm passing as an argument and I'm using like an argument and I'm just using. In real time, it's not a good practice to use the same variable name all the way. So though if you do also, nothing will happen, but it's not a good practice. But for now, for you to understand, I'm showing both. So now in this globals and locals, this every time what happens is that global will store all the variables that you create, functions you create and everything. Whereas locals is also like a dictionary, which will store whatever you define within that. So within that, what you define just now, you defined a pi value, right? So you are passing as an argument, then it will create that object. That's why in both the things, there will be two values, like a dictionary with two arguments. Now we see what will happen. So within the outside function, you are just passing. Within the function, before changing, the value is pi 3.14. And after changing, the value is some 333 something. So after change, you are asking. Now within the function, what is the value of pi? This latest updated value. Now if you are checking what is the local scope value of this pi and global scope value of this pi, you can see local scope value is 3333, but global scope is so and so. Means, so simply to say, within the function, you updated the value, but after the function, if you see what are the changes you did were not reflected outside, means you took an integer, which is an immutable, you made changes within the function, but the changes were not reflecting outside. So this is called as call by value. Hope you understood what I'm trying to say. This is called as call by value. Means what are the changes you did within the function were not reflected outside, right? So that is called by value. So value has gone, but changes were not done. Just like a value, it has gone. That is the meaning of it. Next, sir, what if I want to do call by reference? Means what are the changes you do within the function should reflect outside. So for that, there is something called as call by reference. So means like, there is one more thing. See here. For call by reference means like we need to define within the function like a global. See, globals is a function, global is a keyword. So you need to define within the function, then we can use it. But the problem here is that, so in this case, pi you have passed as an argument and at the same time you defined as a global. You should not do both at one shot. So if you want to make some changes to be at the global level, so you took the global variable, so you need not pass as an argument. Means as you are defining as a global, it will take exactly of what are is in the global scope as it is. So locally, it will not create anything. So I'm just commenting it. Okay. Now you see in this case, this time, same like in the first case, I'm not passing any argument and I'm just passing it. So if you see like global of pi, it has, but if you say local of pi, it will be not defined at all. So locals, in fact, will be nothing. If I say, hey, what is the values of locals? It has nothing, in fact. Now you see in this case, what will happen? what are the changes you do within the function will be reflected outside. Means after doing all these changes, you come outside and check what is the latest value. It was updated, right? So this is how it works. So global changes were reflecting outside also. So this is called as call by reference. So now did you all understand the two things? So call by value and call by reference are two things. Call by value means you take any value and pass to the function. Within the function, you do any changes. If those changes were not reflecting outside, that is call by value. And if the changes are reflecting outside, that is call by reference. Just now we did for all pi value, which is an integer, means which is an immutable objects. For immutable objects, for all the time, it will work like this only. By default, local changes will not reflect outside, means by default it is call by value. And if you want to make them call by reference, you need to define them as a global. As I told, global's function is different, global keyword is different. So this is how it works. Now coming to the next thing about the mutable objects. How it works for the mutable objects. I told, say I'm creating a mutable objects means what? Dictionary, set, list, so byte array string, all these things are mutable objects. If I do for one mutable object, you will understand the other also, right? Say I have taken a dictionary, I'm saying version equal to 3.7, and within that I'm changing it to 3.11. So, and after outside again I'm checking what is the latest version. You see now, after doing all of them, finally if you check what is the version outside the function, it says 3.11. So don't you think that your dictionary is updating? Means like what are the changes you do within the function were reflecting outside? In fact, it may seem like an advantage for you, but it is a big disadvantage. Means when you pass any function, for any function, if you pass a dictionary, that's why we should be very careful. So means you are not passing anything, someone has changed. Means like if 2 or 3 people are working in a project, if someone changes, everything will have an effect. So let me take this example. So outside and inside, I use different variable names, and it doesn't matter like whether you use same variable name or other variable name, doesn't matter. It will do the things. Outside that, if you ask, hey, what is the change? It will do changes, right? Earlier it is 3.11, now it became 3.10. Sir, so this is something very difficult. So it should not happen. Then in that case, what should we do? If you want to update, say you need to create a copy. This is the most important thing. Important. For anything, if you want to change, so you need to do like this. Means within the function you want to make any changes, but the changes should not reflect outside, means you should define like a copy. If you define a copy using dot copy, you can do like this. But if you have like a multiple things, you should go for so like that. Now I did for a list and so and so. Similarly, I'm adding the other things for you to just walk through. Just have a look at the lists and others also. For that also I added a lot of logic. That is an assignment. Just walk through and see how it is working for a list. Similarly. So in conclusion, I want to draw is that, so by default, Python supports both call by value and call by reference. So call by value, so for immutables and mutables, there are two things. Immutable by default, call by value. So with global, local changes will update globally. So it is call by reference. And for mutables, so by default is call by reference. If you don't want, so create copy to avoid. So to call by value. So this is the conclusions that you want to draw. So that's it for now. Just walk through it. if you have any